Hello, hello. Thank you guys for coming today. I know it's a dead week, and I know these presentations were right after the holidays too. So thank you so much for scrapping everything together. We have food. We'll try to keep each team's presentation to around 5 to 8 minutes, just for time's sake. But yeah, I guess we'll get started. Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Before we get started, I just want to, this is the order that we're going in. We're going to start with phone pack, then walker, then go to accessible chair, low cost accessible switch system, then backpack, and then the tablet app. I want everyone to just log into this QR code if you have the chance. We want all teams to have as much feedback as possible. We'd love for our members of our exec board and anyone here listening to log on as well.
Okay, hello everyone. We're New Heights and we're building a height adjustable walker. Oh, sorry. So I'm Sam.
I'm TJ. I'm Advin.
Okay. So we'll start with our mission statement. So our mission is to design a adaptable, ergonomic, and user-friendly walker specifically crafted to support the diverse of rehabilitation needs for paralysis patients. So moving on to the need profile, our paralysis patient that are trying to recover it, and then they work with OTs from a nonprofit organization. So what they're trying to do is to get better, is to rehabilitate and also communicate with the OTs. So what they may think is they want a walker that is more comfortable and more affordable, as well as a walker that they can like rely on and feel safe on. Okay, passing the time to Emily.
Switch slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's also important for our project to think about the use of the occupational therapists, since they're the ones that work with these patients. They're the people that evaluate the needs of the patients. They set goals for the patients to accomplish, and they just guide patients through using the walker during therapy. Additionally, they are responsible for the patient's safety and comfort during their journeys. So we're aiming to make the walker as adjustable, available, and easy to use as possible, so that the OTs can do the jobs more easily and effectively.
Awkward side of the because I already used the slides.
All right.
Okay. Everyone can hear me right? Okay. Okay. So currently we're just using our main research has just been talking to the Pushing Boundaries Physical Therapy Center with Sumi and I think Brandon or Kevin, sorry, my bad. And currently we just have the walker, the photo on the left shows the current walker, which is literally just a walker with a wooden block and yoga mats wrapped around that wooden block to be the knee block. And it's mainly just going to be a stationary walker that will be used for standing up. So before we used to think that we needed like wheels and everything, but once we like got more information, more input from the therapy center, we figured out that our main things that we need are a stable walker for patients to stand up. We need walkers and knee blocks to be height adjustable for different patients, because currently they can only serve like people less than 6 feet or whatever. Then the knee block should be comfortable comfortable when they're standing up, since the patients have to put force into the walkers, into the knee block to stand up. And then there should also be a numbering on the height adjusting to make it easier for OTs just to like write down what height each patient is and keep it on record.
So the priority of the walker is making it height adjustable. One of the main problems with commercial walkers on the market is that they only help people up to about 6 foot, 6'1" tall. So, and our occupational therapists work with people 6'4" and above. So our idea would be to obtain one of these commercial walkers and remove all 4 of the legs and work to build integrated extendable legs that are a little bit longer and have better markings so that occupational therapists can record these markings and really adapts their treatment depending on the markings to the specific patient, making it easier to be recorded.
So as he previously said, for the knee block, our major design ideation is to make sure that it's comfortable and adjustable to different heights. So this knee block is removable and you can move it up or down based on the patient's needs. And it comes with a Velcro which attaches the cushion, so you can change the kind of cushion you're using. So first we were thinking foam, but it could be like cloth or something else, like a pillow as well. In terms of the handle attachment, which makes it more comfortable for the patient and the OT, we have decided to go with something that's already available in the market. Given the budget and the time constraint, we just thought it would be better to just use ones that are found in the market. And we can make some adjustments afterwards after talking to the OTs if need be.
So looking towards winter, we're really looking to obtain one of those commercial walkers where we can replace the legs and adapt it, which is better suited towards occupational therapy. And then we're also going to be experimenting with different materials for the knee block to make it as comfortable as possible.
So the ideation that everyone touched on is really going to help us reach this goal. And as for next steps, we're hoping to continue interviewing with Susan Kevin, as well as plan an on-site visit to the paralysis center, and also perfecting the CAD price that we have and ordering materials for preliminary knee block and walker-based design. And we'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you. Are there any safety standards that you guys need to consider in your design?
So in terms of weight bearing, the material, in terms of weight bearing, what is more important is the material strength, being able to hold the weight. So if we extend the length of our rod, then the material has to be able to like deal with the stress that comes with that. And so we're looking into materials. Although we have considered aluminum to be the best, we can adjust the thickness of the inner and outer radius. I'm sorry. We can adjust the inner and outer radius of the rod itself to make sure that it's able to fit into the wheelchair while making sure that it's able to bear the strain. In terms of the handrests and the cushion, we talked with the OTs, and the way it's designed is supportive of what they already have, is very similar to what they already have. So we didn't really think that there would be any safety concerns there, if that answers your question.
Yeah, it'd be based on both. So like we want to make sure that the walker is height adjustable, like the actual walker, like legs itself are height adjustable, because currently the walker that they're using, the walkers currently on the market only serve people up to like 6 feet, 6'2" or whatever, but they the paralysis center, they expressed concern that they needed a walker that could be more adjustable depending, because they had taller patients or they had patients with longer arms. So the legs are extendable. Also also the knee blocks are also height adjustable, because like different people's knees, like your tibias might be taller or shorter or whatever. So like both things have to be height adjustable, if that answers the question.
Also meant. Yeah.
No, they don't. It's just stationary, purely stationary. Just like if the patient is sitting down, it's for them to practice like the motion of them standing up and like being able to like work with their legs. Yeah, that could also be. Yeah, that's a good point.
Hi, we are the Accessible Phone Pack Group. My name is Anika. It's Ida. I'm Nitya. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Ananya.
So our team's mission is to create a bag design that addresses the lack of accessible everyday use of bags for young adults with developmental disabilities. So specifically people who experience challenges in upper extremity movements. And our goal is to support independent environmental interactions in home, work, and community settings. Yeah, and then the needs profile. So after interviewing with our needs expert, we kind of were able to clean up our needs profile, and our population for this project is young adults with cognitive and or physical disabilities who are transitioning from school to work communities. The problem that we're trying to solve for these students are that their current bag designs challenge the population's limited upper extremity motor function and memory, attention, and also task sequencing. So our goal with this project is to create a bag that helps them be more independent when it comes to transactions and interactions in public settings such as transportation, completing payments, and also communication.
Oops. All right, so some of the research that we did along the way, we first of all took a look at some of the existing bag designs that are out there. I will say a lot of adaptive designs are wheelchair specific, which is not something that we'll be doing for our project. However, we did see some cool features in there that would apply to what we're looking for. Things such as a lot of these designs talked about having a larger zip pull, lots of loops, lots of versatile carrying straps, two-way zippers, lots of crossbody, and some different lining features. So that's where our research started out, is just looking at the existing market. So through our talks with our needs expert, who is a teacher at a transitional program through the Mercer Island School District called Pathways, we found out that what our students are currently working with. These pictures here are some examples of the bags that they're already using. Our needs experts stress that safety, comfort, durability, and attachment is most important. They want everything connected. Currently looking at what's out there, some of the main issues that we found were no built-in attachments on bags, preventing loss of essentials such as the phone, payment cards, bus pass, keys, and the closures are difficult to manipulate and secure for quick and easy access.
So after we talked to our needs experts, she kind of told us that they want the bags to be easy to use for when they're making kind of like quick and easy transactions, like taking the bus and making purchases. So just pulling cards
or like planning out to or to get on the bus. So we want to make this easier by kind of making the bag easy to open, easy to get into, and like pull stuff out of. So maybe like making zipper handles like bigger and easier to hold, so that people can get into their bags easier, or making a card holder that kind of can fit multiple cards and keeps them secure and stops them from falling out, or like forgetting things by attaching them to the outside of the bag, and kind of just keeping it organized inside the bag.
So one of the two main things that we looked at, which was the making purchases and the transaction side, like we already mentioned, the opening and closing and adjusting the bag is something that we wanted to improve on. So we included these pictures to kind of really drive home that these kind of adjustments take a lot more motor function than we really think about. There's a lot of two-handed motion, which is something that our needs expert really talked about being difficult for a lot of the population. So kind of thinking about that steadying hand when we're opening a zipper, opening a buckle, unsnapping snaps, and how we could make improvements on our design to assist with that. When we thought further, when we thought further on that, we were considering all these different fasteners and the loop features, which we kind of likened to a U-cuff that can be a steadying feature for our bag to improve on ease of grasp, ease of steadying, strength requirements, and bilateral demand.
So we brainstormed a couple of ideas. Am I audible? Yeah. So we brainstormed a couple of ideas which we thought might be good for, in general, all users with cognitive and developmental disabilities. So we thought the magnetic or snap button cover pulls will be a good option to open and close the bag, because especially the magnetic buttons, because they don't need to actually use their hands to close it properly, so they can just like put the flap down and the magnet will close by itself. So that's one plus point. And then we also thought about the zipper pull covers and loops, which it's much easier, like the minion on that zip. So if they have something like that, so even if they can't reach the zip manually, so the zipper pull can be long enough and they can just like pull with their finger and close the bag. And another one we thought was buckle clip grip adaptation. So it can also be like the green one with the hand on it. So they can just like pull it up instead of actually, opening and closing with two hands. So it can just require the use of one hand. Yeah, sorry, just done. And we also thought of card holders, which are like half cut like that, which can be connected to a loop, and the magnets shown below that can be attached to the card holder and one to the bag. So when they are swiping their card, they don't need to remove the card from the card holder, but after they're done swiping, they can just leave it on the bag and it will get attached to the bag because of the magnet. So these are some ideas we thought of brainstorming.
So as we did all this research, we have put a list of possible materials we would need. So, we have a fanny pack style bag for the active phone pack, and then a flexible 3D printing filament, buckle clips, and a retractable ID bag.
So any question?
Yeah. You guys are kind of both lined up, so I'll go in the front first. There was a variety of preferences, like the examples we showed. Some people like to wear kind of like a neck bag, also fanny with like, so that kind of is more versatile, or it can go crossbody, but also around the waist. So the ask was to be very versatile. We're kind of toying with the idea about whether we want to make a whole bag or whether we want to make add-ons to an existing bag, like the kind of features we talked about. Because it's hard to find a bag that works perfectly for everyone, and just adding more and more on, we feel might not make it work well for everyone still, so we're still toying with that idea. Yep. Sorry, can you say it a little louder?
The UCAS.
Ah. So we're thinking of that as more of a feature if we're doing a whole bag, to have those kind of loops available, not only on the zip pulls, but having them placed around areas of the bag to help with a steadying hand. So like that picture you saw where people are like pinching to steady the zip as they're unzipping, rather than that, kind of having those loops available to be able to put your hand through to steady and unzip.
Thank you.
Hi, we're the lightweight accessible chair team, and our team name is Rolling with Maddie. I'm Joran.
I'm Rowan.
I'm Darius.
And I'm Sab.
Starting with our mission statement, our mission is to build a lightweight, adaptable, and accessible rolling chair for children with cerebral palsy that will allow for greater mobility and independence. Looking at our needs profile, we are working with a 2-year-old girl named Maddie, who has stage 5 cerebral palsy, resulting in her being a quadriplegic with limited vision. And we want to be able to design this chair so that she can move around freely, connect with her loved ones easily, and achieve greater independence.
We interviewed with Mark Evans, our news expert, also Maddie's dad. So what he did is he created a prototype of the chair that you can see here. So it's very basic. It's like a chair that taped onto some wheels. So some of the things that he wanted was for it to be easily foldable and collapsible. So for example, if you want to put it in the trunk, so there's more mobility. Also, the neck support for Maddie is really important on the chair. Also, the wheels can be problematic because they don't lock. And so Maddie has a twin sister, and also they have a newborn. So in order for safety for everyone around Maddie and also Maddie herself, we want to make sure that they are covered and they can lock. We also want handles on the back so that it's easier to push Maddie. And also in order to keep her, an eye-control attachment for deep breathing.
So another part of our research was looking at items that are on the market already. Here I have 3 chairs that we took a lot of inspiration from. And as my teammate said earlier, she does have a sister that's also a child. So here on the left, we have this ProMobile chair. One of the pros is that it has covered wheels, which Mark Evans, the parent, really insisted on having. However, a con is that its outside mobility is very bad, which the parent also wanted. In the middle, we have another design, which has these 2 big wheels that push it forward and back, and has little wheels on the bottom that help with rotation. So a pro would be at outside mobility, and the cons would be uncovered wheels and no locks. And on the right, we have one that we took the most inspiration from. This is the Special Tomato High-Low MPS seating system. One of the big cons is that it's very expensive. It's like $3,000–4,000. And what it is, it's a shell. So it's like the chair, and then there's a cushion that you put on top of the shell, which can be adjusted. It can be bigger depending on the child's size. So yeah, some pros is that it's easy size adjustment, wheel lock. Cons, it's just very expensive.
So for the brainstorming, our general idea right now is that we want to create a base, and the chair preferably the car chair can be put onto this so that increases the longevity of the product, so that as Maddie grows up, she'll be able to use the chair and the product for a longer time. And then we'll be able to adjust the car seat on the base using something like Velcro or buttons. And then we want to include attachments on the base itself, so we can include the ID for purchase seating, handles on the back of the chair for more support and the push mat around. The iPad holder attachment because she uses it on auditory stimulation. So that would definitely help, and that was one of the things that her parents wanted. A small activity tray for therapy sessions would be very helpful. And also the docking mechanism for viewing, which is something that we talked about earlier as well.
So basically, we thought about the base design. And the goal with the base was to make sure that it did not stub toes and was also stable. Because one thing that Mark mentioned was that you always had to add a weight to the previous prototype when Maddie used to sit on it because the chair was highly unstable. So we thought of a wider base, essentially the surface area covered by that base would be larger than the chair. And also we thought of adding plastic reinforcement on the base to protect it from stubbing people's toes. Then additional protective equipment like pool noodles could be added to the side to further safeguard individuals in the vicinity of the Maddie.
Yeah, so there's a lot going into this design, but one of the aspects we've also been looking to are the wheels. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to wheels. Our main goal is to solve the issues of rolling over people's toes, as well as the ability to lock. So there's several different options we can go with. We can go with wheels that are more treaded and have outdoor capability, or ones that are more smooth and swiveling, as well as there could be some possibility of creating our own wheels. Each of these have their own pros and cons. And I think we will be having a future meeting with our needs expert to kind of figure out what are the primary desires for this chair in terms of maneuverability. Do we want to go outside? Do we want to stay indoors? What is desired? So going into winter quarter, some of the materials we're looking at needing, a lot of them are manufacturing based, things like PLA, possibly aluminum to machine some parts, wood or PVC to create a base. And then some of them will relate to outdoors, such as a water resistant coating, wheels. And then we are also looking into utilizing a car seat. And we're hoping that the family will be able to help us provide that.
So, so to recap, we're building a lightweight, adaptable, and accessible rolling chair for Maddie. It's got to be foldable or an easily collapsible design. The wheels need to be covered or designed in such a way that prevents the user from easily running over other people's toes. And we're hoping to provide and create various attachments for feeding, function, and entertainment for Maddie. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Yes, so we're thinking about building this base either with aluminum, wood, PVC, a lightweight material, and so that it will be easily adaptable for her as she grows. So the parents could change out the car seat depending on her size. And so the car seat, we're also hoping will easily attach then could be used in the car and then reattached and transport her wherever she wants to go. Hence why the base would have to be foldable and portable as well. Yeah. Yes.
So maybe something that you can think about, also you can expert about why do they want what priorities do they want that base to be functional and and also I like that you're something that might be helpful is experiencing with like hardwood stuff that we have in our storage closet because before we're doing the product because to have that additional process
Yeah, Absolutely. I think the design expert last week had a very similar feedback for us. And I think we really are excited for our next meeting with Mark to learn about his priorities, what he thinks of our design, and how we can move forward. But the cardboard's a great point. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna come find you later and we'll talk about this. Incredible. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Hi, everyone. We're the low-cost accessible switch system team. My name's Laura.
My name's Catherine. My name is also Catherine.
My name's Caitlin.
I'm Omar.
All right, so our mission statement is to create a database to educate families about accessible switch options, as well as provide alternative ways to obtain switches that are more affordable. Needs
So-
profile. Oh.
Yeah, so going into our needs profile, basically, the people of interest are children with disabilities that use accessible devices at school, but don't have access to these devices at home. And this also includes their parents who lack the knowledge on these devices and are unable to obtain these devices. So in terms of doing so, we realized that the children are not able to interact with certain technologies due to the limited resources and accessibility, and often relying on parents, caregivers, and teachers for assistance with certain tasks. And sometimes we may be wondering about whether or not the children need to ask for help or are often staying quiet due to feeling burden. And we're wondering if they're like thinking and feeling that, you know, they're disappointed because they don't have any access to these devices, and are frustrated with the fact that they can't participate in these activities outside of school. So basically, this is like a way to address accessibility barriers and raise awareness about assistive technologies for families and children with disabilities so that they can use the adaptive technology to enhance their independence and aid the child's learning.
Okay, for our research interview, we interviewed Danielle, who works at as an occupational therapist, as a consultant for Open Doors for multicultural families. And it focuses on youth and adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities, and provide a way for lending devices and switches, and it's the library. And our findings is that the barriers for the users and their families is the lack of accessible switches that's outside of the school environments, and they have a lack of knowledge of what resources they could get from the switches. And they also have very limited resources on how they could access switches that are not like breakable and stuff, because they're worried of breaking them.
So through our research, we learned that the best course of action is to create a website, somewhat of a database that educates families about affordable and accessible switch systems. If you look on the right, those are all the switches that we want to include in our database. We just kind of want to make like information accessible for everyone when it comes to switches. Some of the aspects that we want the website to have is to inform people about all different types of switches, links on where to buy them, photos, DIY walkthroughs, videos, and also like how to make them. Right now, we're using Google Sites to collaborate easily and just kind of brainstorm how we want the website to look. Yeah, and it's using Google Sites. That right now.
All right, so for some of our first switches, we're looking into like button press switches. Those are very common, very easy to find online, but they do still range from around $40 to $80, so it can't necessarily be accessible to everybody. Also the yellow button on screen is one that we found that is a press button, but it has an angle adjustment to it, so you can kind of pivot it to stand at a different angle. But that goes from $140 to $300. So we were thinking like we can just 3D print a stand to put on the normal buttons that most people tend to have, which would be a lot cheaper. So this is like the most common button.
Another switch that we're looking into is the pressure plate switch, and it is the device that activates when pressure or weight is applied to a surface. And on the right, you can see 3 different like sizes of pressure plates, and these are designed for individuals with limited motor disabilities, and they can be ranged from 60 to 140 depending on the brand. So we're finding a way to make a DIY of a pressure plate by using just cardboard and aluminum foil and insulated wires, as you can see on the left. And yeah.
Another switch that we looked into was the sip and puff switch. The sip and puff switch is often used for those who have mobility disabilities, and some benefits of this is that through exhaling and inhaling, users can interact with various technology devices. Usually these are pretty expensive, ranging between $200 to $300 for a quality one. And as the image on the right shows, this is an example where it's a sip and puff switches. It can be DIY with a USB switch, using the assistance of Arduinos and other equipment.
Switch I research is a proximity switch. It's basically just, motion sensor switch that detects motion or presence, and it activates. It's hands-free. It's ideal for noise lights and smart systems. Picture on the right kind of shows a DIY kit. A DIY kit's like $90 to $100. I realized that you can actually buy all these parts separately for about 40 to 50. So these proximity switches are commonly used for like individuals with motor disabilities. It just makes it easier for them to control things if they don't have to push a button or something. The switch on the left is a pretty ideal switch because you can adjust it, you can adjust the height, adjust where it's pointing. That is about $200 to $300 though, but I included that picture to show like what an ideal switch would look like, just not the price.
We also researched the speech activated switch, which is just like clicking on the button and then it'll like activate the speech, like where you could like communicate to this button, and then it will be connected to the technology that is being used. And it's useful for people who have limited motor skills and also people who have cerebral palsy or other disabilities that prevent them from being able to use keyboards or touch screens, and they cost around $155. And one of the options in the first picture is one that's like elevated, and the other one is like flat. So there's 2 options. Yes.
So the other switch is the magnetic switch. It's basically an electrical switch that opens and closes like whenever a magnetic field is present. And it works by detecting a magnetic field with a movable magnet and a stationary switch. So the picture on the right basically describes like and it shows the magnetic switch. And they cost around like $30 to $50, which is like relatively cheap.
Some possible materials needed for winter quarter for the DIY pressure plate switch. We might need aluminum foil and also playing around with the Arduino board to read the pressure sensor and to power like some devices.
As a bit of a recap, the mission statement is like our team wants to create a database to educate families about accessible switch options, as well as like providing based switches that are more affordable and more efficient. I guess so. Like we're working with Danielle at ODMF. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Summerkey. This is Samara. I'm joined by Chelsea, Darby, and Coco as well. And we are the Backpack for Diabetes group. So first I'm just gonna read off our mission statement. Our team aims to design a practical, inclusive, and user-friendly backpack that addresses the unique needs of our expert, visually impaired individuals and guide dog users, ensuring that their backpacks are better suited for daily activities, including transportation and carrying additional items. So I'm just gonna go into our needs profile before we start. So our user expert has been working with the guide dog for 3 years. There's a lot of volunteer work, so that requires a lot of public transport. So buses, trains, and also has to travel with her guide dog. So in terms of what she was doing and saying during the interview, she was using her current backpack to fit her needs as much as possible, although she did mention that there's a couple features that could be modified with her backpack to better fit her activities. Right now, it's difficult to fit her cane, water bottle holder, umbrella holder, and jacket inside the backpack at the same time because there's so many things to carry. And also she was thinking that this could be applied to other people, not just her specific situation. And she was also feeling some frustration about sometimes things not fitting easily in her backpack, not just things that need to go inside, but also the fact that if she wants to carry her harness on her shoulder, sometimes that keeps slipping off. So there's a lot of different things that we wanted to address when we want to create this backpack. So we created a sentence that kind of shows what we want our design to represent, which is a way to address inadequate backpack designs for visually impaired individuals and guide dog users in general, so that their backpacks are better suited to their daily needs, including transportation and carrying additional items.
So our research so far has consisted of 2 interviews with our needs expert, and we plan to conduct more interviews with her as we continue our prototyping and designing process. And our first interview was mostly just figuring out what sort of wants and needs our user expert has. And we discussed what we wanted to implement in the final solution. And then we conducted a follow-up interview to sort of further understand and clarify our design. And then we conducted some secondary research, which involved looking at some existing solutions and backpacks that already exist for guide dog users, and sort of looking at the pros and cons of those. And then we researched some potential materials to focus on strength, durability, and ease of access. And in the future, we hope to work with some local guide dog users in the area to test our prototypes as we start to build our designs. And we hope to send parts of our prototype to our needs expert, who is actually located in Chicago. So not very accessible for us, but we hope to sort of send parts of our design to her as we continue prototyping.
Okay, so through the 2 interviews that we had with our needs expert, we came up with a couple ideas for improvement based on her experience with her current backpacks. Her current backpack is difficult to maneuver as a visually impaired person with guide dogs because it has no places to secure the guide dog harness or her cane. And it's hard to take off and put back on during transportation, like when taking buses and trains with their dog. And it doesn't have enough space to carry all the items she needs to carry when her traveling. So those are the main issues we want to resolve in our design. But there are also some smaller details that we want to address, such as making the zipper pulls easier to find on the backpack.
Okay, so one of the things that our needs experts uses on a daily basis is her cane, and her current backpack doesn't have a way to accommodate for that. So we came up with a couple of ideas, and on the right are a few of our sketches that we had for the backpack. And so one of our ideas is to have a pouch under the backpack so that the cane can be easily slid under and be held there. And another idea we had is to use a water bottle holder and to also have that be a place where she can store her cane holder, as her current backpack doesn't have a water bottle holder. And then another main thing that our needs expert uses on a daily basis is a harness holder for her dog. And sometimes she doesn't use this all the time. So she will hold the harness on top of her backpack over her shoulder. And this is a little inconvenient as the harness will slip off of her shoulder. So we were hoping to add a hook or a Velcro strap just to make sure that that's secure on her shoulder.
So as far as materials that we'll need for the prototyping phase go, we decided that we're gonna buy a starter backpack that we can then add features to and modify what it currently has, because that would be a much more efficient use of our time than starting completely from scratch. and it'll allow us to focus our efforts on the features that we prioritized with our needs expert. And some other key materials that we are gonna need for winter quarter are elastic cord and cord locks for potential jacket holder, Velcro and mesh for new pocket additions, as well as for the harness holder that Chelsea just talked about. And thread, because we're gonna be doing a lot of sewing for this project. And then also things like zipper pulls that are gonna be larger and more easy to find than things that are currently available on the back. So in conclusion, I'm just gonna read off our mission statement one more time, now that you guys know what research we've been doing. But our team just aims to design a practical, inclusive, and user-friendly backpack that can address the unique needs of our expert, visually impaired individuals, and guide advocates to ensure that their backpacks are better suited for daily activities, including transportation and carrying additional items. So we'll take any questions you guys have. Wait, sorry. I was like, do they have like rush Oh, so no, that was just a community or a group we wanted to test our backpacks with. We don't know if they actually have their own backpacks. Yeah.
Oh.
I think actually I did find that on the website. So I think they have a couple things like the front, the strap thing, you can like hold like backpacks, clothes and that. But I think that definitely addresses a much broader thing than just our needs experts. So you might want to take some ideas from this, but also, you know, add our own stuff too. Yeah. Yeah. Hi everyone, we are the Switch Accessible Tablet App team. I'm Arshita with my team, Helen, Mishti, James, Ella, and Sneha. So our mission is that our team aims to create a playful, engaging, and inclusive Switch accessible tablet app that promotes digital equity and supports the educational growth goals of the children and educators at the experimental educational unit. So who are we designing this app for? Our audience is pre-K to kindergarten students with potential visual and motor impairments who also want their play options to be compatible for their needs. These children want digital equity. They hope for more Switch accessible play opportunities. They're afraid to engage in classrooms because of their limitations. And imagine a child coming up to you and being like, "Can I play too?" And you have to say no. This is why we're making a way to address the lack of accessible and engaging tools for children with diverse abilities at the EEU so they can develop motor and cognitive skills through playful, inclusive learning experiences while promoting digital equity.
So moving on to our research progress, we used 3 primary research methods. First, we conducted interviews with our needs experts and the EEU staff. Then we did secondary research, which is just looking at online resources and seeing what's out there. Then we did ethnographic research, which is basically we went to the EEU and we did some on-site observations in the classrooms. So one of the interviews that we did was with our needs expert. Basically what we're kind of looking at is just like what kind of apps already exist out there and like what kind of things kids are interested in engaging with. So some things to know is some kid engaging app characteristics are things like bubbles, music, lights, movement, and funny, silly, recognizable sounds. And some examples of these like single tap websites or applications, since really all we have is like one switch and just tap it and then something happens. So like an example of that would be like you tap the switch and a firework explodes, or you tap the switch and an animal makes a noise. And then something else to know is that when conducting future interviews, what we want to do is use like the Wizard of Oz method.
We also conducted interviews with teachers at the EEU, and this was basically like a brief user interview to ask them a little bit more about their experiences interacting with the kids and what they would like us to know about like creating such a tablet app that is Switch accessible. And some of the key findings from this user interview that we conducted was that it's very difficult for them to currently meet the needs of their students all the time because everyone has very diverse needs.
And so having like a Switch accessible tablet app would be really helpful because it would give them an opportunity to have go-to activities that the kids can reach for, that are available for their engagement. And during this interview, we also kind of learned a lot more about what the kids love in the classroom. And some of these things include music, a lot of colors, playing with different sized cups, pom-poms, and sorting activities. And so this is really insightful because we're going to try to make our Switch accessible tablet app kind of model and mirror these activities that the kids already love. And currently the tablets are used solely for communication and for touch and write, but our game would allow kids to have more play opportunities as well. And our goal is to have technology that is calming and interactive and not overstimulating for the kids.
So yeah, for our secondary research, we just kind of looked at different resources out there to see what existing solutions are there and the effects of switches. So what we found that it's generally a niche market. While there's like a variety of switches, there isn't a whole lot of Switch accessible tablet apps. Because of the wide range of needs, there's definitely no one size fits all. And because there's children with disabilities, they're still eager to learn and participate. So there's that demand for customization. So there's a lot of tinkering and tailoring for existing solutions just to get switches or products to meet their needs. So we also found a couple of different providers of adaptive technology, which were Microbit and Enabling Devices. So they both provide open source designs that show promise for creating affordable and scalable accessible tools. So we plan to take more inspiration from how these operate and when we start designing our prototypes. So another method that we did was ethnographic observation at the EU. We spent some time over there just observing kids in their natural classroom settings. And so one thing that was really noticeable was that playtime is consistently embedded into their schedules, since the teachers want them constantly moving around between sitting, since they are very high energy. And during playtime, the children kind of spread out and it's kind of free choice with what they want to play. And we saw that caretakers were kind of supervising them, making sure that they're engaged in whatever they're playing with. When it comes to technology, there isn't a whole lot of use there. Generally, we only saw like one iPad per classroom. And with that iPad, it's more geared towards group settings when they're sitting in a circle or learning or watching a video together. In the small cases of individual use, we saw that children were struggling to differentiate between some images and saw that when they're trying to press small buttons on the iPad, they were also struggling. And so on to brainstorming.
Yeah, so based on our research, we outlined two main objectives, which is that the game would provide physical, visual, and auditory feedback, and that it would be engaging and fun for a wide age range of kids. And so we sort of had two categories that we brainstormed. One was an educational type of game where they could learn things like alphabets or shapes, and it would have like fun sounds and animations. And the other category would be more game-oriented and be extendable to multiplayer. So it could be like bubbles or balloon popping, or like a car racing game, or modified versions of Crossing Road, Floppy Bird, or Tower Builder, where the game can be played with very few clicks. And so our next slide, we have just like prototypes of those two ideas.
Yeah, so adding on to what Helen was saying, we want to include sound, haptics, and engaging visuals. Our goal is to incorporate them and create engaging games while ensuring accessibility throughout. So for sound effects, we were thinking like for the balloon bubble popping game, like when the screen is pressed, there is like a pop sound, and it kind of like the sound reinforces the action and provides an auditory cue and also adds a layer of satisfaction to the game. And we were also thinking about adding vibrations, which could be combined with sound effects for a even more powerful psychological impact. And the physical field also provides something tangible. And we were thinking we could do like different lengths of vibration for different cause and effect scenarios. So maybe like shorter vibrations when a smaller bubble is popped, or maybe like a longer vibration when a bigger bubble is popped. And we also wanted to include engaging visuals, like for example, a high contrast mode throughout the app that we can toggle on and off. And if there's text, we want to have like a text size adjustment tool as well. And also we just like want to create engaging visuals in general, like it was shown in the previous slide in the balloon popping and like stack game animation.
There are some possible materials that we might need for the winter, including some switches and switch replacements. And then just to recap, our team aims to create a playful, engaging, and inclusive Switch accessible tablet app that promotes digital equity and supports educational growth and goals of the children and the educators of the field. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, I know we're over time, but thank you guys so much for the work you guys put into the quarter. We're looking forward to seeing you guys back in winter. We'll release the meeting times for winter quarter because we're still collecting from the one to meet. Most likely, it's probably gonna be the same time, just based on what's on there right now. But yeah, I mean, we're really impressed by what's been done so far, and we're really excited to see what you guys will do going forward. So thank you so much. Have a great quarter.